Right then, so I'm just going to share my screen now. I'm going to have a quick look at what Microsoft Teams is and how it works. Now, Microsoft Teams is a really useful tool for teaching and learning. I'm just going to bring it back up now onto the meeting screen, just so you can see a few features that we're talking about now. It's a really useful useful device for teaching and learning. And what makes it so good is the fact that you can, as well as having live lessons, you can actually mark work and have feedback between children and teachers and leave comments on their work. It's, well, you'll see as we go along, but it's a really powerful tool. Now I'm sharing my screen now, as you can do during your live lessons or meetings. Sharing the screen is one of the most useful things I think there is in the meetings features, simply because it's much easier to explain things with a picture than just try and use words. Now I'm going to quickly go through some features on here before we get started on the main part of using assignments and so on, but you will be doing some live lessons, I'm sure, so it's useful to run through these buttons here. Now I'm using Microsoft Teams in the pop-out window version. The version you've got is probably showing it with a floating bar somewhere around here in the lower middle of the screen, which you'll see appear whenever you move your mouse. The reason I did ask for you to turn off your videos and mute your microphones, twofold really. Number one, I'm recording today, so you might want to have your face recorded on the video shared with other people. But also, some people might have a poor bandwidth, and the less video we have going through here, the better connection it will be for everybody. With regards to muting the microphones, it just means that we don't have any background sound causing a distraction, or sometimes you do get feedback through people's speakers, which can be make it quite difficult to concentrate. So if you're ever presenting, it's quite a good idea to kind of follow those guidelines, and then when you do have question and answer times, you can allow the children to turn on their cameras, turn on their microphones and so on. So running through the buttons quickly, the first one here is the show participants. This one we can press to show who's actually in the meeting and who's not there. So if you're doing a class meeting, you'll be able to see whether or not all the children have turned up, and at a glance, and you'll be able to see if there's any children who are regularly missing, and that will give you that nudge to get in touch with the family and just check that they're okay and that they're able to access everything properly. Also from this button, you can actually mute all microphones as well. So if you do have some people with microphones on, you can just click on a button there. The option didn't come up then because you're already muted. Next, we have the conversation. This is a really great feature of all Teams meetings. This allows you to actually put chat in there. So as I said today, if you have any questions as we go along, do feel free to pop them into the chat, and we can have a look at them at the end of the webinar. Also, this area does allow you to attach documents and put web links and all sorts. A piece of advice I would say on any of the chat features in posts or in chat here or in the chat app, if you press on the A here for formatting, it will open up kind of like a mini word processor with a few more options, but it also stops you from accidentally sending the message halfway through. If you haven't pressed formatting and you press enter, it will send the message straight away. So I've done that a few times. It's quite useful to get into the habit of doing that. And you can just press send when you're ready. But as I said, it's great features here. You can attach documents. So if you're doing a live lesson with a class and you want to share something with you, you can pop it right there into that chat. And the chat is available after the meeting as well, if the children click on the post or however they got into the meeting. Next along, we have Raise Your Hand. Came in a couple of months back at the request of teachers. Microsoft are adding new features all the time. The Raise Your Hand, as it suggests, allows people to put their hand up, and then in the Show Participants area, it will show you who's got their hand raised. So if somebody does have a question which they urgently need answering, they can do that. Over here, we've got our microphone and camera toggle on and off, which you've already used, and our screen sharing. Screen sharing options, when you press it, actually have quite a few on there. You can choose to share a window you have open, or you can choose to share the actual desktop. Personally, I prefer sharing my desktop because I feel more confident of what's being shown. When you're sharing a desktop, you can choose what you want to go in there and what you want to be seen. Whereas if you're sharing a window, sometimes you might minimize it and not remember whether or not it's being shared at the time. And when you press that button, it will give you all the choices there as to whether you want to share Windows or your desktop screen. Finally, over here, we have the three dots. The three dots are very popular in Teams. Whenever you see the three dots, it simply means that there's more stuff there to choose from. They can only get so much stuff on here, and depending on your screen size, you may have fewer or more buttons. So if I was on a phone at the moment, I'd probably only see 2 buttons and then the 3 dots, or a tablet. I click on there. Useful things to know in here, which we have. We've got gallery at the moment, which allows you to have 9 pictures on there at a time. Large gallery allows up to 49, and together mode kind of turns it into a virtual picture theatre, and you'll have lots of seats there and it'll put people's pictures on them. The apply background effects one is a great one for privacy and also quite a nice kind of novelty if you're teaching lessons. It works a bit like a green screen in the cinema. So if I click on this one here, I can actually choose what background I want to be shown behind me, and it uses AI to recognize what my head and shoulders are and keep those in focus whilst applying a different background to it. So you can use it to blur or put in another background. And if you're teaching, this is quite a nice kind of hook for the children. I mean, you could go to Grange Hill of the 1970s if you wanted to. It's quite a nice hook for the children, because if you were doing a lesson, you could actually change your backgrounds to go with the theme of what you're talking about, which of course is quite a nice thing for them. As you can see with Minecraft, they've got all sorts of their own backgrounds they've already put in there, but you can also add new ones simply by downloading pictures to your computer and then choosing add new and adding it in here. So great feature for privacy and quite a nice novelty as well. Also, we've got little closed captions. If you have people with hearing problems in the class, they are AI powered, but they are very accurate. So children can turn on the closed captions to get a commentary, a written commentary of what's being said. I've got the recording there. I've already started recording. But as you can see, now the option is to stop recording. If you do choose to do this, it does automatically save it into Microsoft Stream, which is kind of like an in-house internal YouTube channel. The way it works, it'll be connected to your school's domain, your @email address. And so the video is actually stored within that area rather than on your computer at the moment. Apparently there are plans in the future it may be getting downloaded to your hard drive instead, but at the moment it gets uploaded to Microsoft Streams, and after you finish the meeting and stop recording, you'll get an email to your inbox, your school email, telling you that the video is finished being recorded and made, and it will give you a link so you can click on that link to go straight to your video. And then from there, you can choose whether you want to share it or just hold it for a certain amount of time and then delete it. We do recommend, if you're doing live lessons, that you record them. There's a few reasons for this. Firstly, if children miss it, of course, you'll be able to record the lesson and have it available for them to watch afterwards, or if they wanted to go over a few points and watch again, they can do. Also, from a safeguarding point of view, should any child allege that you said or did something in the meeting, having the recording of it gives you that peace of mind that you've got absolute evidence that nothing of the sort happened. Also, occasionally there's also the possibility that you may hear or see something in the background of a meeting in a child's home which perhaps people didn't want you to see, but which does cause concern. So again, it gives you evidence should you need to raise a concern about a safeguarding issue. Very quickly, Microsoft Teams does everything in the World Wide Web using the internet. So everything it does is online, a bit like a web browser. It compiles lots of different tools in one place, so you're not having to jump around between apps. But it also means everything's stored and accessible from wherever you are, so long as you have an internet connection. So nothing's stored on your computer, everything on the web. You may get some concerns or some worries about whether you're being compliant with GDPR and privacy and so on. Well, you are, because all the data is stored within data centers in the European Union, and it's backed up across 2 or 3 data centers. So you do have that peace of mind of knowing that you are GDPR compliant, and in terms of security, it's probably a lot more secure than your own school network because it's got Microsoft level security. So that's a quick look at the meetings part of it and the features you have within meetings for if you're doing live lessons, and a quick sort of a piece of information of what Microsoft Teams actually is. What we're going to be doing now is we're going to use 2 teaching accounts. Actually, one thing before I move on, I should have mentioned, when you start using live lessons, it's really important before you do that you get out an acceptable usage policy with the children, kind of an etiquette document, if you like, and also permission from parents and children signing that they're happy to be participating in meetings, and these will be recorded and kept internally. The etiquette thing that's worth doing is just getting that understanding that behaviour online is expected to be exactly the same as it is in class, in terms of asking questions, calling out, interrupting, taking it sensibly, being respectful, all that kind of thing. And it's really worth going through that. In fact, it's probably worth making your first live lesson or meeting one actually where you introduce it and show them around and get the ground rules down. It might only be a 10-minute one, but it just kind of takes away that initial piece of novelty and excitement about something new, so it becomes a more of a normal everyday piece of teaching tools like a classroom would be. So that's a little look first of all around at the meeting side of it, and now we're going to jump into a couple of test accounts I've got. Now these test accounts are Microsoft ones, and I've got a teaching account and a pupil account because being a teacher myself, I think it's really important we model things properly and show it from both sides. So we're using these 2 accounts today. If you're not sure which one I'm on, up here at the top right hand corner, there's the Turnitin logo there. That's my teaching account, and my pupil account over here has got a picture of Al Fredrickson, who is a star pupil, and that's the one we'll be looking at from the other side. A couple of things to note here before we move on. This account has been set up for an adult learner, effectively, maybe 16 to 18 years old. And so all of the different features down here are there for the child to use. Now, in most of our primary school setups and some of the secondary school ones, we follow DfE and Microsoft guidelines regarding safeguarding and practical usage. So for most of your children on our program of accounts we've set up, there will be no chat and there will be no calls features on there. The reason being that if they are on there, children would be able to use this as a form of social media to contact each other, and it would also mean that children would be able to try and initiate one-to-one contact with teachers outside school hours. So for that reason, you should not find chat and calls on there. Some schools may have specifically asked for it, in which case it may be on there, but normally they wouldn't be there. You also may not see calendar on there for the children either, and you might think, how are they going to join the meetings? That's simply, again, to do with safeguarding. With most schools, we've disconnected Outlook, which has got the calendar and email, because again, not wanting to give children the access to email, which can be open to abuse and use by other people. So that turns off the calendar feature. Some schools have specified they want a calendar turned on, and it may be there, but children don't actually need that. If they're arranging meetings with the children for kind of live lessons, they can join that through posts, as we'll see shortly. So that's just a little bit of background there for when you start using it, if you're wondering where some of the features are. So moving on, what we're going to look at today is inside a class team. We're going to look at how we set up a class notebook, which is your main teaching tool. We'll look at what channels are, and we'll look at how we can use assignments in the grade sections as well for setting work and giving feedback. So first of all, if you're a primary school teacher, you will probably find that you've got two teams and that's it. You'll have your staff team and one class team, unless you're helping in more than one class, in which case you might be in 2 or 3 teams. Secondary school teachers, you'll likely be members of quite a few class teams, because of course you're teaching across many year groups with many different groups of children. And some users will kind of be super admin users, and that would have been requested at the startup meeting, and you'll find that you're a member of every single team in the school. Some SLT have requested that, so that they can, if they want to, they can organise meetings directly themselves with groups of children, or kind of organise assemblies online and so on. So, and also so they can dip in and out of teams to see what's going on. So what we'll do now, we'll move on. I will try and get through this as quick as I can. There's an awful lot today, and hopefully we'll be done within the hour. So I've set up this class here, Ash class, as a brand new class, just like your one, except mine's only got about 6 pupils. Yours, of course, will have about 30. So when you go into your team, one of the first things you might want to do is personalise it to make it a bit more normal, a bit more a sense of belonging for the class. So at the moment here, it's just got an A for Ash, but you can see the pen there when I move over it, which allows editing. And this is where you can either choose from one of Microsoft's bank of pictures that's already put in there, or just like we saw with the background before, you can choose to upload a picture. So you may want to choose the same picture you've got stuck on your classroom door, just to give it, as I said, that sense of normalcy, that sense of being belonging to the class. I'll just choose a random picture for now. So straight away we can do that one. So there we go. Next, within your class, down the side here, you'll find every class starts off with a general channel. Now, channels are ways of subdividing the team into groups. The general channel will include everyone in the class, including teachers, teaching assistants, and children. So everyone is included in that one, and anything that happens in that channel will go out to everybody in the entire class. Now, it's worth doing this here. Any team of which you're a member, or any channel which you're a member, these 3 dots here, it's worth pressing that and turning on your channel notifications, so that when something happens, you will get a little pop-up to let you know it's happening. Now, you may find over time you do want to add some more channels. So, for instance, you might want to do table groups on there, perhaps, or other things like that. Personally, I wouldn't recommend doing anything with the channels for the time being. Get everyone used to it, get comfortable using it yourself and the children. Then over time, you might want to add some extra channels. As I said, the general channel is open to everybody. It's what's called a standard channel, which everyone can see what's inside it. Each channel has its own posts and files area, but the main class general channel also has the class notebook, the assignments, and the grades. Now, if you do over time decide you want to add another channel, you can click on the 3 dots here, add channel. Now, this is a standard one. You might find you decide you want to put in a private one. So for instance, if you've got a group of children in your class, perhaps you're teaching upper key stage 2, and you've got some children who may be starting to become aware that their work or their learning is a little behind some of their peers, they start to become sometimes conscious of that and don't like to be singled out because of it, understandably. What you could do if you wanted to set up a private group with some different work for them and not have anyone aware of it is set up a private channel. So if I do this, rather than being a general one, this will actually ask me now specifically to add children to that channel. Okay, so I'll add those two, press on done, and you can see now I've got the focus channel here, but it's got a padlock on it, and that padlock tells it private, and that also means that channel will only be visible to those children who are members of it. If they're not a member of it, nobody will even know that channel exists. So that's a private channel. The difference between private and standard, as I said, is that only people inside who've been included in the private channel could actually see its existence. And again, as you can see, it's got its own posts and files area here, and you can add in more different features if you want to over time. Okay, let me just close up that one. So back into our general tab now. The posts area is where we can put anything we want everyone to know about. It's a bit like a notice board, an online notice board. So for instance, you might have a new conversation here when you first start up. Again, use that A there, the formatting button, so it's not just sent straight away, but also in the posts area, that allows you to put in a subject. And if you want to do a really big announcement, you can get a new conversation here and press on announcement, then you get a banner for it. So, new virtual class. You can let them put it up there. Using Delta. It's amazing, of course. So, well, then I post that, and now that will go out to all the class. You may have just heard a bing there. If I switch over to Al's account here, he's in Ash class. You can see a little pop-up notes come here. That's because I'd already turned on his notifications, and there you are. Now you can see Al can see what's going on there. Gets a chance to post in something as well, so it's quite a nice kind of breaking the ice activity for everyone. If I pop back over to my one, you can see that Al's ones come up there in real time, and it's showing me who the comment came from. So the post section, as I said, great way to get information out to everyone in the class, and it's something that which they'll be using a lot. Similarly, if I had, for instance, my teacher here, I went into calendar, I wanted to set a meeting for the whole class. I could go into the date I wanted. Let's go on to Monday at 3 o'clock. Let's just put in English. So English, oops, would help to spell it right, wouldn't it, if we're actually going to be doing an English lesson. Language. I can either add individuals when I'm doing a meeting, or I can add a channel, which is everyone in the class. So I'm going to add a channel for everyone in the class. So I'll go to Ash class, general. So this will now send out a meeting invitation to everybody, rather than doing individual attendees. It's already got the date and time, so I clicked on the calendar to get that. I can then type in what it's all about, and then press send. Now, if I go to Al's account again, you have another notification there. Al has now got this on his posts, and if Al wanted to join the meeting at 3 o'clock, because as I said, your students may not have calendar here, Al can just click onto that, and you can see here, you can click on join when it's time, and he'll be straight into the meeting. Also in the meeting, if there was stuff shared, Al could click on chat afterwards, and anything which was said in the meeting would still be there and available. So that's very quickly looking at that section and what the post is for. The files section in the classroom team is a bit like if you have a children shared area on your school drive in your school network. The files area is somewhere where you can put stuff which is shared with all the class. So quite simply, it's something accessible to everybody. Now in this area, you can put folders in here, and anything which goes in here will be visible to the children. So anything you want to share with the children can also have an Al's account at the moment. My mistake, let me just pop back over here. So let me go back into my Teams and files. That's it. Oops, so here we are. So what we'll do now, I'll just get rid of that one, I think. So go for the 3 dots where we have our options. So class materials, this is where you can put all your stuff. And it's important to remember everything goes on here is, as I said, visible. So all your planning, your assessment, your IEPs, any other data if you're storing on Teams will go into your staff team. This is purely for resources you want the children to see and use. So once you're in here, you can also put in new folders. You can break things up a bit. Today, so English, maths, whatever else. Bear in mind I'm primary trained, so this is the sort of thing I do. If you're a secondary school teacher, I'm sure you have all sorts of different ways you break it down. And once you're in there, you can click on the folder. You can simply drag and drop files from your computer, or you can create things right here. As I said, the idea of Microsoft Teams, it bundles together lots of things in one place. You're not having to jump in and out of different apps all the time. I click here, new. I can actually open up Word right here inside Microsoft Teams. It will be the web-based version, so it doesn't have quite as many features as the full-on desktop app. However, they've improved it enormously over the years, and it now does have more than enough features for most of us to use for most of us to do most things on it. So as you can see, it's quite comprehensive. One of the good features of this is that you don't have to save anything because it's all web-based. It's constantly backing itself up. So should your computer suddenly shut down or have a problem, you wouldn't lose anything. It'll be safe there, stored in a data center somewhere. So you can type down there quite happily, close it when you're finished, and you'll see now there's the document. Back into here, back into English. There's the document I made a few seconds ago, and it tells us who made it as well. So that's what the files area is for. Now the class notebook is going to be your main teaching tool. If you want to think about it a bit like a virtual ring binder with color card dividers and pages in between, or from the children's point of view, you can think about it being their virtual exercise books. Each section would be like a virtual exercise book. So the first time you do this, you'll be asked to set up your class notebook. It's based on OneNote, but the class notebook I think is a much more accessible and much better tool than the actual original OneNote. So press on here, a blank one, it's a new year. First thing it does, it tells you what the different sections are, and it's worth spending a second having a look through these. Collaboration space is somewhere where the teachers and children can edit. So this is a little bit like if you're doing a group work and brainstorming, this is where the stuff can go there. Content library, this one is a bit like, if you want to think of the old days when we had a good copy which we used for photocopying for the children, you'd have your original copy which you keep pristine, probably in a plastic sleeve in a folder. You take it out, you make your 30 copies, put it back in this plastic sleeve, give the copies to the children. So this works the same way. Whatever you've got in there stays original, the children can't edit it, and you can push out individual copies to each of their class notebooks. With the added advantage, of course, that you don't have to use glue sticks, which are worth more than gold in primary schools, and you don't have to waste time on to stick them in and so on. Teacher-only section only came in a couple of months ago, again at request of teachers, since people have started using Teams a lot more in education, certainly in primary and secondary education. This is simply a section where it allows you to prepare stuff beforehand. So you can prepare pages in here as you're planning using a PPA time, and when it's time for them to go live, you can drag them into the content library or into the collaboration space, however you want to use them. Children can't see that section at all. Finally, with the student notebooks, if you're in a class teacher notebook, as you will be, you'll be able to see all the children notebooks from within your notebook. So it's a bit like taking that big box of books home on a Friday night, except you won't be leaving your boot till Monday morning and feeling very annoyed at yourself for not marking them during the weekend. But that's where you can dip into all their notebooks. The children, on the other hand, they will be able to see a collaboration space, they will be able to see the content library, and they'll be able to see their own personal notebook and no more. So that's how a notebook works. So you press on next, and now we get a chance to set up what are effectively the children's virtual exercise books, their sections in their own notebook. So again, being primary, I'll put in English. I really am struggling to type English today. Maths. And I've lost my typing fingers. Okay, you can, as you see here, if you want to add more in there, you can do. If you want to delete them, you can press on the X, and once you've done that, you press Create. Now, what's going to happen is in the background, in Microsoft Data Center somewhere, it's doing all the number crunching, and it's creating now notebooks for every child in the class. Up until this is done, the children won't be able to access notebooks at all. Actually, while this is happening, one other point, when you first open up your team, you'll probably see at the top there'll be a button which talks about activating your class. Up until you press that, none of the children will be able to access anything in the class. And that's something as a class teacher which you'll be able to do, but they won't be able to do. So class notebook, press on the little arrow here and we'll see inside it. Here's the collaboration space as we saw. If you want to add more sections into a space, you just right click and new section. Right first time this time. Oh, look at that, amazing. And I can type as many as you want. If you've got a particular color scheme you like, you can right click on here and you can change the section colors to whatever you want them to be. If you want to add pages, you just right click in this section, new page. As soon as you type in a title, that becomes the title of the page automatically. And so you might want to split these up into whatever sections you want in the collaboration space. Again, a content library, you might want to do the same. Teachers only, you might want to do the same. And down here, we have those student notebooks we saw, which I set up before. Now, if you do decide once you've set it up, you want to add another section there, perhaps a homework one, you can go to Class Notebook here, click on Manage Notebooks, and add section. Look very similar to what we saw before. Homework, save, and now that will automatically add one of those to each of the children's notebooks. We pop back in here again, and press here. One day, eventually, here we are. Open up one of them, and there you can see Adele has also got homework in there as well. So, quick thing about this, if I click inside the notebook, it will minimize all this lot to give me more space to work. This works like your interactive whiteboard software. So if you think about Smart Notebook or Active Primary from Promethean, whatever software you're using, explain everything and so on. So it's not like a word processor. You click on the screen, it brings up a text box. If you go to draw here and you've got the interactive screen, you can do handwriting and so on, and pictures and anything you want really. If you want to also to put other things on here, you can actually insert files right here onto the page. So you can literally put an attachment there on the page which the children can open up rather than have to go to the file area to find it. You can put web links in there, you can insert pictures and crop them on the screen. You can even put audio files in there, and particularly at a primary age group, particularly younger ones, this is a really valuable tool. As long as you've got a microphone, which could be on a laptop with your webcam, or it could be on a phone or on a tablet, you can record audio files right here and put them on the page. So those children who may be reluctant readers or learn much better through listening, can actually listen to the file as well as read what's on there. So it's a really, really nice piece of software. I'm personally hoping that over this year I'm going to start switching all my work over to this rather than using PowerPoint or anything else like that, simply because it stores everything in that one place. It's very easily shareable, and then also if during a lesson you want to actually share your whiteboard with the children, you can save these pages and then share them with the children afterwards in the collaboration space or in their own notebook. So it's a really powerful tool. Another advantage is that a lot of software charge subscription fees nowadays. If your school's got this anyway, you can actually save yourself money, and if you're not tied into one system either. So quite a nice array of features here. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to do that old Blue Peter thing and go to here's one I prepared earlier. I'm going to go to Rowling class because I've already put resources in here. So to save us time, we're going to be using this class team now for the rest of the session. So what we're going to do now, we're going to go into our class notebook and we're going to look at how we can use the collaboration space and the content space in real life. So first of all, collaboration space. Now in this area, I have put in my topic a bit about the Mayans. So to give an example, when I used to be a classroom teacher, if I was doing a new topic, I'd normally do a brainstorming session at the beginning with post-it notes. And I'd say, what do you know already? What would you like to know? And then we'd have our pupil guided learning for the topic. We'd all fill in our post notes, stick them up on the wall, and that would prove the basis for what we were going to do. Or similarly, I might do work on table groups with a big piece of sugar paper, and they're all adding their ideas and so on. This is where you can do that. So in this example, I want the children to add their ideas about the Mayans. I've put one on to get the ball rolling. So the page is already here, the children can already access it. What I need to do now is let them know where it is. So I can quite simply, if I remember it's in the collaboration space topic and it's called Marvelous Mayans, I could create a post for this. So down here, new conversation, click on the A to get the more options. In here, our new topic. What I want to do, please in your class notebook, go to a topic area and go to Marvelous Mayans, put down your initial and add your idea. Once you've done that, press send. You'll hear Al's got a notification telling him that something's come up. Al will also see it up here in activity. He's got a new post, so you can click up here and click. Doesn't matter which team he's in at the time, he can just go straight to it from there. So he can see what he's supposed to do. He can go to his class notebook now. Then he can open up the arrow here to see all his different sections. Give that a moment. And then he can go into topic as he's been instructed. Oops, sorry, my mistake, that's his main notebook. Go into collaboration space, into topic, and here we are. He can write down his idea here. So of course he thinks with his stomach. And now I flip back over to here and back into my notebook, and you'll be able to see that in real time Al's idea has already come up. There we are. Al F, what did they eat? And of course, I've made mine very boring. Al might want to change his font to make it look pretty and personalize it and so on. But that's how this area could be used. Equally well, if I was doing table groups, I could have put in a post, please go to the collaboration area, topic, choose your table group, add your ideas, and so on. So collaboration space is a great way for sharing out or collecting ideas. Next, we'll have a look at a content library, and we're going to distribute a page to all the class to work on. Now, I've done a really boring worksheet here. All I did to do this, I found a picture of one online. I found one online. I took a screenshot of it, and then I cropped it on the screen here. One of the great things about this, so it's really good to try and get away from the idea of thinking about paper and ink, is this is all live. So you can put web links in, you can put help files on the screen and so on. In this case, I put a web link on. Now, if you're not really familiar with web links, it's basically the same thing. If you go on a website like BBC and you click on one of the news stories, that's a link, and it simply takes you to another page on the internet. So what I did, I found a page for help with adverbs to allow the children to have a bit more kind of independence in their learning. And then I copied the address. Again, I'm not sure on everyone's experience of and knowledge of computers and the internet, but every single page on the address on the internet, on the World Wide Web, has its own unique address, no matter how small it is. So you can right click and copy that address, and then I go back into here. I can put in some text, highlight it, and then go to insert and put a link in there. And then I can paste the link which I had before into there, insert, and that's now a live web link. So clicking on that will take me straight back to that page I was just on. So I think links are a really useful thing, and a great thing for the children to kind of, like I said, give that independence, an extra force, so they can have that confidence. So now I've got it set up. I want to send a copy of this out to every child's book and stick it into the right place. So I quite simply now go to class notebook, just like I did before, to manage a distribute page this time. Now, I could choose individual or group distributions and so on. I can choose to go to a different notebook, a different team of mine. But I'm going to go to distribute page to all, and I'd encourage you to begin with to do this, because again, until everyone's comfortable with it, I wouldn't try going, trying too far, tinkering with it, trying different things. Just get everyone comfortable with this first of all. It's a really powerful tool, can do a huge amount of stuff, but I think it's easy to get overwhelmed with it. So it's going to ask you which one of the children's books or virtual books you want to put in. I want to go into the English book. As soon as I do that, you'll see the button lit up down here. I press distribute, and that's going to take a minute or so, and that's pushing out a virtual copy of that now to the English section of every child's notebook. So what I then do to let them know, create a new post, just like I did before, a new conversation, click on the A, adverbs, homework, and again, please go to your notebook and try the adverbs work. Okay, so I can post that now. That goes out to all class. Al will be happy there with his account. He'll see he's got a new post. He can click on that. Needs to go to the English section, so he's going to open up his class notebook, and then he's going to just expand that so he can go to the right section. He's told to go to the English section, so Al Fredrickson, English, and there's all about adverbs. So what Al can do now is he can go to draw, he can get his highlighter, and he can start highlighting, his answers. Now, Al's pretty good, but we will make mistakes occasionally. He's given it a good go anyway. So once he's finished, as I said, some are good, some are bad. Once he's finished, I can then have a look at that. So if I go back into my class notebook, and this is where the beauty of what this does comes in. It's easy to set work online, but it's great having that ability to feedback. I can now go to Al's notebook. I might also on the post put this has to be done by a certain date and time. I can go to English now in Al's notebook, all about adverbs. And there's Al's work he's done, but I'm in my account here. So what I might want to do on here is have a little mark of it. I might think, oh, okay, I'm going to put in a little bit of, I might want to put in a circle or something. I know I don't have a touch screen, but if you do, you could certainly do this a lot more accurately. You can put in comments on there. You could also put in text on there. So, oops. Please try whatever ones again. Again, you can put that in a different font to make it stand out, make it look more friendly. You could also put in stickers as well, which for primary schools is a great thing because, as we all know, everyone loves stickers. So we've got stickers over here. You've got ones here like well done, which you can actually edit as well, put different messages inside them. So I'll just click done, but I could have put nice work, Al, you're the best, whatever. Click done, and now that is going to appear on the screen as well. And there we are. So I can move that around if I want to. And as I was saying about the real-time thing, if I go back over to Al's account now, you can see in real time he's straight away got that feedback on there. So this is as I said, this is the beauty of it. It allows proper two-way communication between children and teachers, setting work, giving feedback, marking work in real time, and allowing a much more rich experience of learning when we're doing it remotely. Also, we can have flipped learning as well, which we'll look at in a moment. So that was a quick look there at using a class notebook and using posts to create work and share it with the children, notify them, and using posts also for children to join meetings. We're going to spend the remainder of the time now looking at the assignment section. Now, some teachers choose to do everything through assignments because it does have a few advantages. On the grade sheet, it will create a kind of a grade a column of marks, and it will also tell us whether or not children have opened the work and done it. And it also automatically sends out a post to the children to let them know the work's there. So going to assignments now, I'm going to do 3 types here. I'm going to do an assignment using a file which I've saved in the file area. I'll do an assignment sharing a page from the content area, and an assignment as a self-marking quiz. And as a teacher, of course, everyone loves self-marking because, well, it's the best thing in the world. So first of all, I'm into the assignments now. I'll click on create an assignment. And it's going to bring up details of how I want to do it and where and when and titles and so on. So title, we're going to do one on poetry. Fantastic poem for primary schools. Put in the instructions. Please read the poem. Is ready for the lesson on Monday. Okay, so this one is where we can actually use it for flipped learning. We can allow the children to do the preparation in their homework, come straight into class and get straight to work without the need for an introduction with a teacher, freeing up more actual lesson time for the learning and freeing up the teacher for more of a mentoring role to work with a focus group. So next, we've put in the title, we put in the instruction, we need to add the resource. So add resources. It's going to ask me where I want to get it from. This one, as I said, is coming from a file stored. It's not a new file, not a link, it's in the teams. I have to tell it which team I'm going to. Round in class. In the class materials, it's in English, and there it is, the magic box. So I'll attach that. So now every child, when they open this, will get it taken to this file. As you can see, they can't edit it, so we'll take them to it so they can see it. If it's one with points on, you can put down a point value for how much you're going to mark it out of. You can add a rubric if you want to. Before I started doing this, I'd heard the term rubric. I didn't really know what it was. It's very popular in America, apparently. But basically, it's a tightly broken down success criteria and learning intentions. So you can have your success criteria here. If they only get this one, it's poor. If they get all 4, it's excellent, and so on. But that's entirely optional, up to you whether or not you want to use it. Next, we can assign it to our class, to all students. You could, if you want to do stuff to individual students or small groups by typing in their names. And you can set the date and time for when you want it finished by. So I want this for my Monday morning lesson at 9 o'clock. Once I've done all that, I can assign this. Now you'll hear a bing in a moment, hopefully, and Al will get a notification coming up to tell him he's got a new assignment. Any moment now, I'll have a drink while I'm waiting. So there it is. Al's got a notification. He's got a new assignment. You can see an activity there and the pop-ups. He's got his notifications turned on. So he clicks on this, and it takes him straight to it. You've used the assignment. This is one of the really nice features, actually. I mentioned before about the grades and why some teachers like to do it this way. If I go to grades now, you'll see it's created a column for the Magic Box assignment. I can also now see that Al's actually opened it. So again, just like with the meetings where we could see whether people were attending or not, if you see over a couple of assignments, maybe a pupil isn't opening it at all, again, that gives you that prompt to get in touch with the family and make sure that if it's remote learning, they've got access to remote learning, they've got the tools they need, or whether they just need a bit of a kick because they're just kick up the backside because they're just playing on the Xbox and PlayStation all the time. So back into my Al's one. Al's going to click on this to open it up now, click on the resource I sent. Al's going to read the poem, or again, getting away from the idea of ink and paper, I put a link on here, so perhaps Al's a much better audio-visual learner. Click on this one, and I put a link on here to Kit Wright reading. So once Al has finished reading the poem, he's thought about the ideas he wants, you can close down this resource, and you can click Hand In. Whenever you click Hand In, you get a little visual here. Sometimes you get unicorns, you get ice creams, you get arrows hitting targets, you get jellyfish, all sorts of random stuff. It's quite fun. Back over here, if I come out of grades and go back in again, I will now see that Al's actually handed in the work. Now from here, from these three dots, I can actually go to his work and leave comments. So I can go here, enter feedback. Well done, I can't. Return the work, and now again in real time, Al's going to get a notification telling him his work's been returned. There we are. Click on there, or click in the activity area, click on the chat to see where it's come through, and click on any of these things where it's come up in red. So click on the activity, he's got it returned, and here we are. You can see my feedback straight away. So again, it's lovely for the children, because we all know the children love to get that feedback, and they like to know how it's done, because they feel proud of their work. So that was very quickly how we can use an assignment to use a file we've stored on there. Next, we're going to do a new assignment this time, and we're going to distribute a page just like we did before, only using assignments to do it. So create again, assignment. This time I'm going to add a resource first, doesn't really matter what order you do it in. I'm going to use it from the class notebook this time, and then into the content library. It's in topic, I think, yes it is, and I'm going to do a day in the life of a Mayan child, attach that. Now by attaching that, when I create this, I'm going to put the topic section. When I create this, it will send a copy to every child's notebook. So give a title, topic, work, cross-curricular, put in my instructions, whatever they may be. That's already attached. If there were points, I'll put in the points. If I wanted a rubric, I could. Date, time, who it's for, and assign it. Again, Al's going to get a little notification popping up telling him that he's got a new assignment. Might take us slightly longer to come through this time because it's doing all the virtual distributing and gluing into his book. But once it comes in, Al will be able to have a go at that. And again, I'll show you what we'll be able to do in real time. So here we are. Al can click on his activity here. He'll click on View Assignment. And in real time again, if I were to go back to the teacher's account, I'd see a new column has been created for this assignment, and in grades it would tell me he's opened it. Al can now open this, and it would automatically open up his class notebook for him on the right page. Just like before, I've got away from that idea of this being a paper and ink exercise, so I'm using colour pictures because I don't have to worry about the business manager telling me off for using up too much of my colour printing, or I don't have to try and sneakily take the deputy head's login when they're not looking and do my colour printing on their number. Equally well, I've put a link in here, so click on there. Some of the children are a bit unsure about what the Mayans did, they maybe had a bit of a forgetful moment. I've got a link in there with all the information they could need to kind of strengthen their own confidence. They can get on with it, and once they're in there, they're ready to start clicking and writing their own diary entry. When Al's finished that, you can see at the moment there's a little arrows turn there telling us that's syncing in real time. So in a minute we should get that coming up with the cloud on there. But as well, there we are. So as I was saying, Once Al's finished, you can click close, you can click hand in, he'll get a new little visual here, something nice and fun for him. Back to the teacher side of it, grades, and it will tell me Al has handed in the work. There we go, handed in. It gives me a chance now to have a look at his work, and again, one of the nice features of using the assignments and grades bit is if I click on open student work, it'll automatically take me to it. So I can have all the students' work here, all my topic diary work or whatever listed, and I can just dip in and out of them right from here. So open student work. If I want to put stickers and so on the page, I can. I can put the feedback in here. Great work. Is certainly one of the best things for us. Great work. Put in whatever I need to on there. Put on annotations on the screen if I want to return his work. Al will then get a notification his work's been returned to him. Just close that one up. You can see now it tells me I've returned the work. Back over to Al's, he gets a notification his work's been returned. And he can see my feedback again in real time. So really powerful tools, really useful. On the teacher side, in the grade sheet, you can actually also export this to Excel. So to help you if you're doing your assessment, which of course all of us teachers live for because it's the best bit of teaching. But if you're doing your assessment, you can download or export an Excel file of all your stuff there and then take that data off there and put it into another form. So the last bit today, and thank you very much for bearing with me. I appreciate it's Friday and especially at the moment with these strange times, everyone is really running on empty at the moment. But it is half term nearly here. So what we'll do now, we're going to create, but this time we're going to do a quiz. Now this is the only time in this whole session that you're going to see me actually leaving Teams. So when I go to quiz, it's going to take me to Microsoft Forms. Now if you haven't used Forms before, it's a great way of doing surveys and quizzes. It's a bit like kind of like Kahoot or WordWall. It's a similar idea. It's an online survey or quiz. Now you can use a bank of quizzes you've got already. You can see ones I've created in previous webinars, but I'm going to add a new quiz. And this today I'm going to open up a new window in my browser for Microsoft Forms. This is all still connected to the same account though, so you don't need to save anything. It will automatically save itself. Now from the teacher side, you have a questions tab here and a responses tab. As the answers start to come in, the responses will start to fill up and you can choose to see individual responses from children, but it will also create pie charts and bar charts of all the answers coming in. So it's a great way to spot things like misconceptions, very good for AF assessment, of learning assessment for learning, and helping see where gaps are. You can do maths or you can do anything really, it's up to you. So back in the questions, so we give our title a quiz. Give it a description, try your best, use your knowledge you've had so far to show off what you can do, whatever, and add new. Now the only ones you really need in here are choice and text. Choice will be self-marking, text will allow text answers of any length, but of course you'll have to read and mark those ones. So I'm going to go for choice for now because it's Friday afternoon, I don't want to give myself more marking. Whole sentence without a typo, impressive this afternoon. So down here, we've put in our options, corn. Now, once you've got them in there, you can put a tick next to the correct one. If you want to, you can even put a comment in there. Answer it. If you want to do one with more than one correct answer, you can click on multiple answers, and that will turn into check boxes. And again, you can tick all the ones which are correct. I'm going to stick with a simple multiple choice, and you can tell them how many points they get for getting this one right. Just 1 point. Then you can put in another one. I'll go for choice again. What shape? This time, add option or pyramid. Tick the right answer again. It's automatically put in 1 point. If I wanted this one to be worth more, I could change that point value, and I can go on doing this until I've got all the questions I want. Now these don't have to be quizzes, you can do them as surveys, so you're not doing a correct answer or anything in them. And you can also change the order of them with the arrows here, move them up and down and so on. So once I'm happy I've finished with it, I can just close it. As I said, it's all online, it backs up automatically, no saving needed. So now I've created the resource, I can go into here, go to quiz again, at the top of my list, there's the quiz I've just created, click next, it's going to take me to the assignment screen and it's automatically now put in that quiz as the resource. It's also put in the title of the quiz as the title, put in my instructions for what I want to do, date, time, all the rest of it. It's automatically put in the points as well on this one for me. And I can, once I've put in everything else I need on there, got my date, got my time, got my everything else, yep. So I should be ready. What have I missed here? All students, let's put on a different day maybe. Go over our own class, all students, yep, take the time, and it should allow me to assign this now, but it hasn't for some reason, which is very odd. Never had this happen before, probably clicking on recording. So let me just double check I haven't missed anything. My info, my info, rounding class, all students, time, yep, save that. So I wanted me to save it first this time. So now I've got the assignment made. As soon as that wheel stops spinning, I should be able to assign it. Most mysterious. Oh, there we are. So let me just go to create again, and from existing should be there, which I've gone assigned already. Yep. Rowling class and cancel. That's very strange. Oh, let me just try that again. Quiz. My info next. And my instructions. And we've got the same again. I do apologise for this. I've never seen this happen before. I'm just going to go back into assignments there and see if I've missed something else. I'm going to discard that one. Right, and drafts. Here we are. Let's try that one. There we go. So we'll assign that one now. That's better. So again, give it a moment. I'll go as a notification back into here. View assignment. Again, in the grade section, there'll be a new column for this one. That will tell me Al's opened it. Al can open up this. Unlike my view, Al just sees the individual's view. He can't see how the rest of the class does. He does his answers. As I said, he's a very good student. Click submit. He gets instant feedback because he can view his results. So here we are. You can see he got that one right. 2 out of 2. He sees my comment there. Well done. You can close that. And that is all done now. I thought we could, he normally gets a little thing up there as well. Anyway, back into the staff side of it, go into my grades here, and I will see Al's handed in the work. You can see again another one, tells me the score. I can come in here, open the student work. If I want to, I can put a comment in here. Dojo points, whatever you want to put on there. Once that's done, close that, and I can just put returned on here, so that Al will get a notification and he'll know that I've work. Here's the bing there, go back over to Al's account, and I can click on here to see what's in there if I want to. Click on activity wherever I want to click, and there's the feedback again. Even though it's a self-marking quiz, I can still give feedback. Now that, I think, has probably left you all feeling pretty well frazzled. Managed to keep it down to under an hour today, which is quite impressive. So what I'll do now, I'm going to minimize the accounts we've just been looking at, back into our meeting. And if there is anything you would like to ask now, questions wise, as I did say, we've got the conversation here where you can pop questions in, or if you want to, you can unmute your microphone and so on. What I will be doing is sharing this video later on. If you do want to watch one of these videos, or let your friends know about it because they didn't have a chance to make it, if you click on the link here I popped into the chat, it will take you to this page here, which is the booking page for these webinars. If you scroll down to the bottom, you will see Microsoft Teams with pupils here. There's other things from the playlist and so on. So we've got all sorts of training recorders here which can be used as well later on. So to get to that, all you need to do is go into your calendar and click back into the meeting again, and you will see here is the chat, and everything we spoke about, or everything that's been shared in here, is already in there. Okay, So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to stop recording, and if you do have any more questions, do feel free to ask them